It happened again, and you were just about done with it. You almost never knew where the feeling came from. You could have been fine throughout the day, then the next moment, all thoughts were wiped from your mind and left nothing but an empty husk of a body. You couldn't bring yourself to do anything, even the things you loved. Everything just felt like another chore, and you didn't have the energy or the will to take part in any of it. Even feeling any sort of emotion was a hassle. You didn't even want to think of how many times you tried to bring yourself to cry, as a desperate attempt to feel something, anything. But all the effort left you was a suffocating weight in your chest. You wanted to be frustrated, but the constant static in your mind blocked out the pleading and screams for help, nulling them out until they became nothing but white noise ringing in your ears. You searched for anything. Your love, your life, your family, your friends, yourself. You just wanted to feel. There was an unsure knock on the door, causing you to roll over in your bed, refusing to even acknowledge the agitating sound. You gave a low grunt as the knocking continued, the person behind the door giving up and cracking it open. Babe? You recognized the voice of Kirishima, turning your head enough to see him from the small crack of the door. When your eyes met his, he pushed the door open and slowly walked in, a soft grin adorning his lips. Do you need company? You didn't have the capacity to interact with anyone outside the four walls of your bedroom, but he welcomed the warmth of Kirishima, who had been nothing but patient and reassuring ever since you got together. He saw you at your highest and lowest moments, and this state of numbness wasn't foreign to him. He became your rock, both literally and figuratively, standing tall for the both of you when you crumbled under the pressure of life. That smile of his becoming your sun when your mind was clouded with self-deprecating thoughts of what-ifs and not being good enough. He momentarily lifted you off your bed, shuffling to lean against the headboard and placing you on his lap. Your arms immediately found their way around his neck, burying your nose in his shirt as one of his hands found home on your waist, the other drawing circles on your thigh. His touch was soothing, a gentle reminder that he was there when you needed him. Each movement of his fingers drew patterns across your skin. The warmth that lingered under his touch spoke how much he loved you, how much he wanted nothing but the utmost happiness for you, because that was what you deserved. No words could describe just how much you meant to him. Each and every single thought of you brought tears to his eyes. He wanted you to understand that he would cry out his emotions to the world if it meant seeing a smile on your lips, to hear you laugh, even if he wasn't the cause of it. Not a day goes by where he wasn't reminding you of how much you were loved. Your hands combed through his hair, twirling strands around your fingers as a means to ease your mind. It felt nice to hold someone that wasn't just a pillow or a stuffed animal, Kirishima's touch grounding you and pulling you from your thoughts. His lips trailed across your neck, peppering soft kisses before he made his way to your face. He placed deliberate pecks on your forehead, nose, and cheeks before ghosting over your lips, a trusting smile on his face once his vermilion eyes met yours. You gave him a weak smile in return, moving to press your lips against his in a sweet kiss. You promptly pulled away, feeling Kirishima's hand brush against your cheek. The softness, love, and longing in his eyes made you let out a shaky breath as he pulled you back into his chest, his hand moving to caress your hair. There aren't enough words to tell you just how much I love you. You really didn't feel like dealing with anyone or anything right now. Piles of papers sat at your desk, the sight of assignments and projects seeming to taunt you. You glared disbelievingly at them, the progressively growing stress rendering your brain numb. The assignments had built a wall for your thoughts, leaving you alone to contemplate on whether or not this was where you wanted your life to go. The infinite possibilities for what your future would hold was exciting. But throughout the years, it seems that the path to that destined future was fogged by unreachable expectations and seemingly unending struggle. Was it even worth trying anymore? Oi. A gruff voice made you flinch. You hastily looked over to the other side of the room, where an uncharacteristically quiet Bakugou was sitting. You had somehow completely forgotten he was there. What the hell are you beating yourself up for? Your eyes grew downcast as you swiftly looked back to your work. He must have seen you in your turmoil behind all those papers. Granted, you were silently seething and pulling at your hair, grumbling to yourself in frustration as the lump of stress grew in your throat. Nothing, you answered simply, moving to pick up your pen. You already received an earful from the explosive blonde after you told him you were unable to train due to massive amounts of homework, and you weren't in the mood to take another one. You visibly jumped when Bakugou's hand slapped against the open notebook in front of you, muffled sparks and smoke coming from his hand. Bullshit, he growled. He saw your hesitation, Bakugou immediately noticing your lack of spitfire when you didn't look up to meet his eyes. Let's not do this now, you muttered out with a shaky breath. Your gaze still fixated on your notebook, where you could see that Bakugou left a burned handprint on it from his quirk. You felt his eyes bore through you before you heard him click his tongue, hearing his footsteps walk off. You assumed that he didn't have the time or patience to deal with you in this state. Or at all. That is to be expected. What you didn't expect was for him to return with an extra chair, moving so the chair was behind you. Though you were curious and mildly surprised that he didn't leave, you refused to look over to him as he situated himself behind you. What? You could just move so you're sitting beside me, you went to say, but were promptly cut off when Bakugou leaned forward and wrapped his arms around your waist. His sudden warmth caused you to shiver, turning your head only to be met by his head of blonde hair. You were immediately conscious about his chin resting on your shoulder as his hold on your waist tightened. Shut up, he spat. His voice still had an underlying edge to it, but it held a rare softness that you weren't used to. The least you could have done was ask me for help, you damn idiot. Why else would I be here right now? Why would you be? You whispered, your fingers playing with the metal coils of the notebook. You didn't need any kind of reassurance right now. You needed to finish your work. You felt him sigh, his hot breath against your neck. He lifted one of his arms, his hand coming up to encase yours on the desk. I get it. You suck at asking for help. But no one's going to think you're stupid if you do. Despite his gruffness, his hands were gentle, completely contradicting the absolute firecracker that was his personality. I know, but I need to finish this by next week. You tried to argue, but that was futile right now. You have a week, not a day. Calm down. His fingers slowly weaved between yours, giving your hand an encouraging squeeze as he dug his face deeper into the crook of your neck. You were wafted by the scent of caramel and shampoo, Bakugou's hair tickling the side of your face as he mumbled out. The future is the future's problem. Do me a favor and focus on what's happening right in front of you. We'll go from there. Alright, dumbass? The messages on your phone had become nothing but a blur of green, blue, and white, your mind shifting to autopilot as you skimmed through each speech bubble that was sent your way. You wanted nothing but to shamelessly bury yourself in the common room couch, to throw your phone away after consuming all the negativity that popped up on screen, to scream and lash out at your so-called loved ones. It hurt. It hurt a lot, knowing that whatever you did wasn't good enough for them. That every little thing had to be perfect, or else their perfect little kid would ruin their reputation. That they'd make a group chat just to lecture you, even when you were so far from home. There you are! A cheerful voice rang behind you. You peered from behind the couch, your nose instantly brushing against your girlfriend's. She was as bubbly as ever, but her bright smile dimmed at the sight of your sunken face. What's wrong, baby? Your gaze traveled to your still open phone, abandoned on the coffee table. She followed your gaze and immediately sighed. She walked around the couch to your phone, turning it off so the sickening messages from your family wouldn't be seen anymore. Mina turned around, wrapping her arms around your neck. She gave you a reassuring smile, rubbing the back of your neck with her hands. Your words were vague when it came to family matters, not wanting to burden Mina with them, even though she told you countless times that she would comfort you in any way she could without hesitation. And today just so happened to be one of those days. She gave the top of your head a quick kiss as she bounced back upstairs, returning shortly with a fluffy blanket, a bowl of popcorn, and a tub of your favorite ice cream. She denied your words of protest, hopping over the couch and wrapping you in the blanket. Mina, I promise, I'm fine. She cut you off with a peck on your lips, pulling away and playfully squishing your cheeks. I don't think you can fool me, babe, she quipped. You grasped her hands in yours, slowly pulling them from your face. You appreciated the efforts she was putting in to cheer you up, but the last thing you wanted was for her to get tangled in the mess that was your family. She sighed again. Listen, I might not know what's going on at home, but I want you to know that I'm here for you no matter what. Her words were weaved with so much sincerity as she guided you into her arms, burying her face in your hair. You couldn't help but glance at your phone. It was dark, but you knew as soon as you held down the power button and brought it back to life, you'd be met with the painful words of your family members. Mina noticed this, so she reached for your phone and shoved it in between the cushions. You don't have to worry about them right now. She gave you a sweet smile as she pulled you into her warm embrace relaxing your muscles ever so slightly. There was a blissful moment of silence between the both of you, the sound of the movie Mina had turned on filling the quiet gaps. Her arms were wrapped loosely around your frame as you laid comfortably on her chest, the soft blanket draped over the two of you. The numbness still resided in your head, rampant thoughts of prior messages from your family still swarming. You blankly stared at the TV as their words blurred your vision. You couldn't help but still want them to be proud of you, even if you knew that was impossible. Ashido could sense that you were overthinking about your family, causing her to pull you up to face her. She moved locks of hair away from your face as she pouted, giving the bridge of your nose a loving kiss. I told you not to worry about that right now. Your girlfriend cupped your face in her hands as she flashed you an award-winning smile. You gave her a gentle smile of your own in response as you leaned into her warm touch. Blood and flesh doesn't make a family. It's the people that want nothing but unconditional love and happiness for you. The ones that stand by you even if you make a mistake. That's what defines family. Noise. That was how you described your current setting. You had been looking forward to this day ever since you and your friends had planned it. But now that the day finally arrived, you completely forgot why you were so excited in the first place. Yes, you were surrounded by the people you loved, but why was it that you felt so distant from them? You felt out of place, on the outside looking in, a mere puzzle piece that had no chance of connecting, no matter how hard it tried. Slowly, it felt as if you were drifting away from the crowd, the laughs of your friends muffled out. You couldn't hear anything other than the white noise. You couldn't see. You couldn't breathe. You backed up to a nearby wall, covering your ears in an attempt to block out the sound. Your senses were overwhelmed with anxiety. This wouldn't be the first time you'd have to handle something like this in public. You just needed to be alone for a few minutes to shove everything back down. Yes, you just needed to be... Please, open your eyes and look at me. Your ears picked up something other than a static-like noise. You could barely hear it, but it was there. It was him. You shook your head, refusing to open your eyes. It would just get worse if you opened your eyes. Everyone would be looking at you. Everyone. You hated that. Just leave me alone for a few minutes and I'll be fine, you mumbled, barely able to speak without letting out sobs. I promise it'll be alright. Just look at me, Dinky whispered as he rubbed his thumb over the hands covering your ear. Just look at me, okay? That's all you have to do. Hesitantly, you opened your eyes. You winced at the sudden light, but as you squinted, you saw the blonde standing in front of you. His smile was warm, and his eyes filled with worry as he moved his hands off of you again, so he wouldn't overwhelm you. See? It's okay. It's just me. You nodded shakily, barely able to look at one person. Dinky's hands hovered over your own, hesitating on touching you in your vulnerable state. Breathe for me, okay? It's just you and me right now. We're all that matters. He slowly moved his hands to be on top of yours, making you flinch at the contact. No one else is around. Just you and me. Focus on me, and me only. You gave him a slight whimper in agreement, as you let him slowly drag your hands off of your ears. Your eyes were still focused on him, ignoring the white noise as much as you could manage. Your breathing slowly evened out, as Dinky whispered words of encouragement to you. Once you seemed calm enough, he pulled you into a tight embrace. God, I wanted to do this as soon as I saw you start to disconnect from everyone else. He leaned his face into the crook of your neck, desperately clinging onto you. But I know you get overwhelmed so easily when you're like this. I know how it feels. That's why you don't need to fight your fears alone. You can come to me, okay? Dinky pulled away from your neck, just enough so you can look him in the eyes. Can you do that for me? You took in a breath and smiled softly at him. You nodded at him slowly. Then you gave him another nod as you finally spoke clearly. Yeah, I think I can do that. Dinky quickly returned your smile with one of his own. He gripped your hands in his, so glad that you trusted him enough to let him see you like this. Good. I'll shock all of your problems away. He giggled, squeezing your hands in a reassuring manner. Are you ready to get back to everyone else? You had reached your boiling point, yet you couldn't show it. The pent-up emotions from days long gone have finally caught up to you, yet you had no way to release them. That heavy weight in your chest refused to be let out, choosing to suffocate you until you exploded in a whirlwind of emotion. The feeling of tears welled up in your eyes, but for God's sake, they wouldn't fall. Breathing steady had become an arduous task, your body refusing to sit still as you paced back and forth in an impatient, almost desperate fashion. Damn it. You breathed out, brows furrowed as you bit your lip. Why did the numb feeling have to hurt? Why can't I be good enough? What's the point of existing when I can't even bring myself to become better? Why do I care so much to the point that it destroys me? Why? Why can't I make them happy? I'm just a waste of time. I'm not worth it. Hey! Shh. A familiar voice pulled you from your spiraling thoughts, your brain now registering the hands that firmly held your shoulders. You were breathing heavily as you looked up to meet the dark eyes of Sero, whose brows were creased and eyes swimming with concern. Shh. He held your face in his hands, his taller stature leaning down to rest his forehead against yours. Shh. Breathe with me, babe. You swallowed heavily, giving him a shaky nod before falling silent and closing your eyes. In. Hold. And out. The pattern repeated. You listened and followed his instruction, mirroring his breathing until the heavy pounding in your chest slowly faded. Your hands laid over his on your face, fingers filling the space between his as a means to ground yourself. As your legs gave out, Sero brought you into a loving embrace. Hot tears finally fell down your face while he cradled you and whispered sweet nothings into your ears. It's okay. Everything is okay. You're with me now. What if it's not? You replied, not knowing how to react, not knowing how to let your emotions flow out. I keep messing up. It doesn't matter how hard I try, because even my best isn't good enough. It hurt. Your emotions stuck in you like a lump in your throat. It burned you, a fire that started from your stirring emotions. Nothing you could do was enough, and there was so much you couldn't do. You weren't as strong as Midoriya or Todoroki. You weren't as confident as Bakugou. You weren't. Please, listen to me. Sero's embrace on you tightened protectively. You're enough. You're amazing just the way you are. If you want to improve on what's already perfect, you can. I have so much more to improve on, though. So much has to change to catch up to everyone else. You choked out, fear evident in your trembling voice. Change isn't a thing you should fear, because it helps us grow. Sero pulled away slightly. He gave you one of his famous smiles that never failed to make your mood better, even if it's just by a little. And you shouldn't compare yourself to others like that. We're all growing at our own pace. Don't feel forced to pick up the speed and grow up. He brought you into him once more, Sero's strong arms making you feel secure. Let's take it one step at a time, okay? You were shaking. The negative emotions that you've been holding back for so long flowed out like a broken dam. Sero brushed his hands through your hair, shushing you in a comforting manner. Don't hold back. Let everything out. His words became the final push you needed as the emotions flowed out of you like a tidal wave. The bottle that contained your worries and fears shattered as you cried every last tear that you held back. Strangely, it felt good to let everything out. No longer feeling the numbness creeping up your back. Just pure sadness, anger, stress. Releasing it felt like dropping a weight that you had been carrying, the overwhelming feeling of emotion bringing you a sense of relief. Negative emotion or not, it was better to feel something than the consuming abyss of numbness. Please don't ever hold all these emotions in again. Let's talk about it when you're ready, okay?